Father, I need some help.
Have you sinned, my child?
I have, Father. I have sinned greatly.
Oh no, child. What is your sin?
Well, you see, Father, I've been listening to too many podcasts.
Too many podcasts? Child, it is time to repent.
I know. What must I do, Father?
Well, child, if we must take in the word of the Lord, you shall now be only allowed to watch one or listen to one podcast a week.
One podcast?
Yes, child.
What podcast might that be?
Well, which one do you think, my child?
Is it Dinosaurs Galore?
No, child, not that one.
Is it Do the Hanky Panky?
No, child, not that either.
Is it Beetroots Are Great?
Child, it's classic movie banter.
So, Nathan.
Yes, Brenton.
I have said this, a topic that I'd like to start the show with.
Okay.
Television quality.
Television quality, okay.
I don't mean... when I say quality, I don't mean the content that will appear on your television.
Okay.
I mean an actual television's quality. You see, I know people that are okay with a shitty TV.
Yeah.
So what is the standard that we should allow our TVs to be at?
Well, TV's changed a lot recently. Like just the fact that people watch it on a TV is still quite a it's a traditional idea, because I know most of the TV I watch these days is done on the computer. Like,
true.
Yeah.
True.
But when it comes to an actual TV, like, what are you talking about? You're talking about like size, or are you talking about like 720p, 1080p, or are you talking about like...
I'm talking about all the above.
Okay.
I'm talking about what's the perfect size, what is the best quality? What do you need to be okay?
Oh, I don't know. See, like, if I'm watching... It depends on what kind of TV you're watching, in my opinion. Like, I don't know, like, what's a TV show you're watching these days? Give me an example.
I love Rick and Morty.
Yeah, Rick and Morty's great. So that's a very well-animated show that I think you could easily watch on a laptop, right?
True, yes.
But, like, say you were watching Game of Thrones,
yes,
for example, like a very big, epic scale thing. Like, you wouldn't want to watch that on like a laptop, would you? Like, you'd want to watch it on the big screen.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. I have people like I've got to like grandparents' houses and they still watch like television on the square TV.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
I know exactly what you mean.
And not just television, just like they put on DVDs and it's like still a rectangle within that square TV. Yeah.
This is why I brought up this topic, because I have members of my family.
Oh, good on you. I'm really happy for you.
I know, it's such an achievement. Yay. No, they still watch television on these square TVs.
Crikey.
Yeah, and it's just...
Is it like a financial thing? Are they trying to save money? Like, do they not want to upgrade?
No, they just think it's a good TV.
Oh.
And I know it's not. Not anymore.
Yeah.
Maybe one day, 20 years ago. Perhaps then. But... The thing is, I agree. Television is constantly evolving, and the hardware is constantly getting better, and it's hard to keep up financially. Yeah, like that is a reason for not keeping with the trends, so to speak.
It's true, but it's a trend thing, isn't it? Like if I was to watch like an episode of Seinfeld or anything like that, I could easily watch that in a square TV, or like Friends or Frasier. Like
true,
like anything old, I reckon I could do that, because it was designed to be distributed on a square TV.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, my memories of square television was, I remember I had a square TV that my PlayStation 2 was hooked up to.
Oh, okay. So all your games were in squares as well?
Yeah, so it was a good time, and I never noticed the quality until I got I remember I got my Xbox 360, and that's when I started.
Oh gosh, what a privileged childhood you had! Like,
no, it took me years to get these consoles. Actually.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I got them years.
There's a lot of pain and sweat.
I got them years after like everyone else. But yeah, when I got the Xbox and my dad was like, "Here, son, here's an HDMI cord."
Yes.
And I plugged that in and to HD television
instead of the VGA cables you're normally using.
Yes. And I was like, "What is
the red,
this?
white, and yellow?
What is this? There's no colors on this. There's no color coordination I have to do."
Yeah.
And it blew my mind.
Wow.
I remember how crisp that image was, and I was like,
"Yeah,
Father, you've changed my life." Yeah.
So I gave you life, son. But no, like I understand that. Did your parents do that thing when you were a kid, saying like if you watch too much TV, your eyes go square?
Yeah.
Do you reckon like the saying now is that if you watch too much TV, your eyes go rectangle in 4K? Because I remember like mum and dad used to say like they used to say like too much TV was really, really bad for you.
Yeah. Well, yeah, to a certain extent, understandably why, but like even today, I don't think it's TV anymore. It's the internet.
And like smartphones and all that
exactly,
stuff,
like iPads and things.
Yeah.
Again, going back to those kids on the trains with their freaking Minecraft.
I know.
Blows
the
my
bastards.
mind. Yeah.
It hasn't gotten any better, by the way.
And Minecraft isn't even the thing at the moment. It's Fortnite.
It is Fortnite.
It finally changed. It took... When did Minecraft came out? It was when I was in year 8. So that was...
So last year?
Yeah. Minecraft came out last year.
Yeah.
No, it came out in... what year was that?
I remember the beta was in 09. I remember that, which would have been our grade 8. So.
Yeah, so that was...
It was a while back. Almost a decade. There you go.
We would have been turning 14. Yeah. Good lord. So yeah, that's nearly a decade.
A 14-year-old child.
And Fortnite... Like, Minecraft has only just changed from being, like, the hot thing for, like, you know, angsty teens to be playing. On all
That's the thing.
devices.
You talk about, like, TV quality and that kind of stuff, and a game like Fortnite is deliberately, like... terrible quality.
True.
Like it's
so then I guess coming back to your original point, it depends on what you're watching and what content you want to consume.
It's all about content. Like I've never like you and me, we do a podcast about old movies, and like I've never watched an old movie thinking like any of the episodes that we've done so far, and my criticism is like, oh, this experience would be better if my television was of a higher quality.
Yes.
Yeah. No, you go.
I was going to say yes and no because at the same time. God, I'd be envious of Quentin Tarantino and his own like personal cinema he has in his house.
Oh yeah,
where he sets up those reels of film that he collects to watch those old movies.
Yeah, on their original reels.
Man,
and that'd be amazing.
Imagine it'd be so cool, but it's not necessarily necessary.
Yeah, it's true. I remember when you and I went to the cinema to see the original screening of Jurassic Park.
Yes.
We got to see that on film, which was quite lovely. But I remember even then watching that film then versus how you and I watch it here at my house. So we have, we watch it on my 42-inch TV. That is 1080p. I'm pretty sure my TV is. It's a Sonic, and like I remember like when we watched was it Bridge Over the River Kwai or one of those old ones where I thought, man, I would love to see this on a big screen. Maybe it was
It might have been Bridge because that was one of those films.
Very epic.
That was. In terms of cinematography, there's some wide frames, and it was like it was that panorama kind of what is it?
Panasonic or like
Panasonic? Is it?
No.
What the hell is on the posters?
What's that word
that's
called?
Like
panoramic. It's called panoramic, isn't it?
It might be Panasonic. I don't know.
You
let us know, beautiful listeners.
Tweet at us.
Yeah.
CMB Nathan, CMB
So
Nathan.
I guess, I think you put it perfectly when you said it depends on the content that you want to... I guess, okay, so where I'm coming from is, from my opinion, I'd want a good enough TV that would be able to play... Because I have a small Blu-ray collection of films that I really, really love.
Oh, good on you. You're giving them money.
I will exactly. I would then like
Do you do like the DVD features? Do you watch like the extras?
Sometimes, yeah. It's part of it is because I want to. It's as funny as it sounds. Like even though like it's great to stream stuff and Netflix, there's something about like owning it and being like, this is my copy.
This is mine
of this film that I love and like may have inspired me or whatever, because like they're the only films I really buy.
Did you notice a big difference when you went from DVD to Blu-ray?
Yes. I remember when...
I remember at the time I wasn't impressed. I thought they were very similar.
Really?
But I was a kid. I was very unimpressed by most things. But like, I remember now, like looking back, you watch a DVD versus today on Blu-ray, I think it's marginally better.
I remember watching the 2009 J.J. Abrams 2009 Star Trek on Blu-ray.
Oh yeah,
and it blew. Like I was like, wow,
whoa,
yeah. Like, look
because that's like the first space film that started to look like, by today's standard, that looked quite excellent.
Gosh, yeah. I feel like if I went back and watched that film, it wouldn't look as good as what I remember it looking. It's one of those cases.
Yeah, because like because prior to the 2009 Star Trek, we didn't have a big space opera film
when
for a
did
while.
Avatar come out? Was that 2009 as well?
That was 2009, yeah, but that was like December. I remember Abrams came out that summer, which would have been mid of the year, and then Avatar came out then. But even then, that wasn't much for space film. It was all set on Pandora.
I gotta say though, Avatar was in my mind then because I was thinking. That's funny that I don't think Star Trek might not hold up. It might. I don't know. I need to watch it again.
Yeah.
But Avatar, every time I see like clips of that film, like visually, it still holds up. Like, the visual effects in that film is just
controversial.
insane.
I don't think that does.
Really?
So, one of my good friends, Lucas, a couple months ago, I was visiting him, and he'd never seen Avatar before, and so a couple of mates and I, we sat down with him to watch Avatar again. It's like, hey, watch this film. I don't think it's very green screeny. Like, you wouldn't. It's like watching the prequels now. Like, genuinely, like, I don't think the special effects hold up that well, because it's like, it is still a stunning film, and like, it does still look quite good, but like, you really notice the special effects. I think because there's very little practical sets on that film. Like, you really notice it.
I think part of me would love because for me, watching Avatar in the cinema in 3D, that's the only 3D experience I've ever experienced in a cinema that has been worth it, so to speak.
Oh, okay. Gravity.
Nah, even so, I wasn't as impressed by Gravity
Oh,
personally.
okay.
Yeah.
By the 3D.
By the 3D, yeah. And
Doctor Strange was pretty good in 3D. Well, then again, the only good 3D part about Doctor Strange was like the mind trip sequence where he like...
Right, yeah.
That was amazing in 3D.
Oh, that would have been trippy as all hell.
Oh, it was so good. I remember like I was very sober for the experience, but I remember sitting down the cinema just like looking around going, there's definitely someone here tripping on acid.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
No, so... Yeah, again, it comes back to content.
Yeah. Back to content.
Back to content. Yeah. Content will always be king, not hardware.
It's true. Which is why, of course, it doesn't matter what quality we record this podcast in. It's always the highest of quality.
Sorry, what was that?
Yes, it's the highest of quality. It's the highest of quality.
It is classic movie banter. Welcome to episode 1, 2, 12. Here
12.
we are. Yeah.
Dozen.
It's a dozen.
How many episodes do you want?
Half a dozen.
Oh, too bad we got a dozen. We hit it. We hit the 1 too.
Oh, very exciting.
Very exciting.
Very exciting.
I'm happy about that.
Another little milestone. Yeah.
We're just all about the milestones. Like, I think like we rock up every week to do an episode, and you're just like, we're still going. Like,
next week it's going to be 13, and we're going to be like, oh, we're not teenage years.
Oh. I know. Right now we're like at that awkward 12-year-old. It's like, you know, people like what are you, 12? I remember when I was 12 years old.
I do remember as well. Yeah.
I'm glad you do too. But I remember like at the time saying a lot like, what are you, 12 to my friends, because I knew they were 12.
What are you, 12?
And I'd be like, yes, that is my age.
But it would be more like, because your voice is breaking at the same time. So like, what are you, 12?
I remember though, your voice actually didn't. I remember growing up with you, Brenton. Like your voice wasn't that bad going through puberty from memory.
No, well,
you're one of the lucky ones.
I think my voice went pretty early on.
Yeah,
and it wasn't as sudden. It was more of a gradual thing that happened earlier on. So I was kind of acclimatizing to it the whole time, and in terms of getting used to it, I guess I was handling it pretty well. Yeah. And I remember, so it wasn't so much of a thing for me, but a friend of mine.
I know exactly who you're about to mention. Can I say his name?
Lachlan.
Yeah.
Yeah. Puberty hit his vocal cords quite hard.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I love him, and we both love him to death. But I remember in those years, it's just like it'd be a flip of a coin to see whose voice you'll get in that day.
Oh, exactly. Yeah.
Also, not just him. Also, but do you remember Bodhi?
Yes.
Bodhi,
yes.
He was a very late bloomer when it came to that. I remember growing up with him. Very smart, very very funny bloke. But he'd talk about quite intelligent things, and then just in the middle of it, his voice would just peak like this, and he'd be like, oh,
and then, oh, yeah.
He'd be talking about, you know, like the Hubble telescope or something like that. He'd be like, oh man, just there's some great stars, and when you look at the space, there's just really high stars. And
should we do next week's episode?
Yeah.
Just all with those voices.
Maybe we can sound like that kid from the Simpsons. You know, the awkward teenager.
Oh, I call him the acne kid.
The acne
because he's like that. Oh. He sounds like those two monsters out of Monsters Inc. as well.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, the teenage.
Oh, hey, Sully. You know,
hey, Mike.
Yeah, it's great. God.
Oh, sorry.
What is it? You threw off his because Mike says something, and then it's like he threw off his like game plan or something, and they're like hitting each other. Great stuff.
Great scene.
But we're not here to talk about Monsters.
No,
Inc.
we're not. I wish, but no. Instead, we're here to talk about a Martin Scorsese film. We're finally doing Scorsese. I can't believe it's taken us 12 episodes. We're not doing Raging Bull, even though we should be, because it's my favorite film. Instead, we're going to the other side of the spectrum, and we're doing it's you and me, we love anniversaries, don't we, Brenton? We're
we love milestones and anniversaries.
We do. We're big on ticking off lists. And today, I don't know if it's today actually, the day that we're uploading this podcast, but this week, it is the 30th anniversary of The Last Temptation of Christ.
Released in 1988.
Yes, not the event, but the movie.
Yes.
The Last Temptation of Christ.
Yes. Gosh.
Directed by Martin Scorsese, starring Willem Dafoe. What year? 1988?
1988, yeah.
There you go.
30 years ago.
30 years. So, Brenton, can you please do me the honour of pitching the Jesus movie?
I'll do my best.
Okay.
So this film is called The Last Temptation of Christ.
Yes.
It's hard to go into this, let's say, the title of this film in terms of what The Last Temptation is referring to without spoiling it. So I'll try to keep things vague.
Okay. So convince me to watch this movie. Pitch it. Yeah.
The Last Temptation of Christ.
Mm-hmm.
So we follow the life of Jesus of Nazareth.
Okay.
As he goes...
Who's that?
Have you ever heard biblical stories?
Have you heard of the Son of God?
Have you heard
of the Lord?
What's the buzz tone? What's happening? What's the buzz tone? Yeah. Anyway,
I wish this film segued into Book of Mormon.
No, into Jesus Christ.
Superstar.
Jesus Christ. Superstar. So we follow the life of Jesus of Nazareth from his humble beginnings as a carpenter who builds crosses.
Yeah. That's a little bit ironic,
for
isn't
the
it?
Romans for crucifixion.
Yeah.
And it follows
Did he do that in real life?
I'm not sure.
I'm not
but
sure
in this
either.
film, that's where he begins.
Yeah. In this fan fiction, this is where it begins, I should say.
Well, this is also, I should say in this pitch that this is based on, I think it's a novel that was released in the 50s called The Last Temptation of Christ.
Yep.
This film explores the human being, Jesus, not the God of him. No, that's right. So it follows this man Jesus through his time as he starts preaching and spreading his message.
Yep.
And where that takes him through his life, ultimately to where we know, or you may have heard of, is where he meets his demise and then resurrection. I can say that because this film takes that premise and kind of
flips it on its head. Yeah.
And really tries to explore this man who once existed and
allegedly
and who he was. Yeah.
Yeah. That's a good pitch.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's a fan fiction Jesus. Yeah.
Nathan.
No, don't make me lead this.
I'm gonna go to you.
Can I just not talk this episode? Can you do the monologue?
I can start if you like.
You can start if you want.
Okay. So Martin Scorsese.
Yeah.
I love this guy. He is my favorite director of all time.
Yeah. What a talented man.
He is.
Yeah.
In terms of this film, I can't say I love it. In fact, I'd be hard pressed to say I like it. but what I will say is that I think it's very well directed. Obviously, because you have the mastermind behind it. It's very well made. I think this film says some really interesting things in its last third. No, I do. I think the questions that this asks and the exploration of this man. And it
sounds like you're punching someone in the face, but then you're trying to apologize. No, but you're good about this.
The discussions that this film raises are worth having, and obviously they're worth having because this is one of the greatest stories that's ever really been told. Yeah. So of course, any iteration of this is worth being told to some extent. That being said, the interesting questions that are raised in this film come at the very end, I think. And not to say that the first half of this film is well made, well acted, again shows this man as a man, not as a godlike figure. Yeah. But God, we know this story, and we do. It really just tells it beat by beat to a certain point.
It does, and then it doesn't.
And then it doesn't. Yeah.
That's Brenton, this pile's a piece of shit. like, don't even try and be nice about it. Like, it's so funny because you and me, like, we love Scorsese and we love old films, and you try and find the merit in all films. Like,
I have to. Yeah,
you and I were struggling watching this film today.
Oh, it's yeah. And when I say that it really takes it beat by beat and tells that story, it drags, man.
This one doesn't have a story though. I want to rip this film to shreds. Like, okay, I'm not even going to be kind to it.
Well, now that I've gotten my piece out of the way, I'll give it to you to rip it to shreds. It's take it away.
Like, there's no. I can remember the whole time you and I were sitting next to each other watching this film. I was like, what the fuck is going on? I just kept on turning to you, just being like, what the fuck is going on? Because there's no narrative plot. It assumes the audience is going to walk into a cinema in 1998 and just be like, oh, we're just going to see the life of Jesus. All this film is just Jesus having conversations. That's literally it. Like, nothing else happens. You just watch Jesus having chats with Judas, and then you have Jesus having chats with Mary, and then Jesus walking about, he's having more conversations. He's giving the most generic Christian speeches he's given. You've seen this speech delivered like a billion times. So he's like, love, don't hate. It's like you can see any guy at any church give the exact same speech. And so after you've had like 2 fucking hours of conversations, he finally goes up to the cross, and then something happens that will be in spoiler territory, and then you see the ramifications of that. And then maybe in the last like 5 or so minutes, like the film actually finally conveys some sense of depth or message or meaning or something like that about temptation itself.
I would say that there are links from that ending to the beginning.
Yeah.
However, when they're happening at the beginning, they're not interesting enough to sustain it for the duration of the film. Yeah.
There's just nothing happens in this movie. Just nothing. Like
things that happen. Like there's big events that happen in this film, but again, I feel it's. I know what you're saying, but I feel like it's a case of that. It's that we know this story so well, so we're looking for something new.
We are.
And I guess when
all we're doing is just watching Willem Dafoe make weird Jesus faces.
But he's acting very well, and he really portrays this person.
He is. But look at what he's having to deal with. Like the script that he's got. Like, it's just all monologues. It's just all Willem Dafoe just doing monologue after monologue.
I think when this came out as well, maybe it would have caused a bit more of a stir in the sense of I don't know. At the time, because now there's lots of films about Christ and there probably was back then, but I think this was, from my understanding, really was really important to a certain extent because it really took that figure of Jesus and made him a human being. And I think everyone was like, wow, he's relatable and he's actually like a man.
Just old mate Jesus.
No, he's not Rocky Balboa. He's not that relatable.
I wish Sylvester Stallone played Jesus in this. So.
I mean, like, to Willem Dafoe's credit,
hey, Judas, what are you doing?
Jesus is how kind of I envision his personality might be. In the sense that, like, he is someone that is a very emotional person and someone that is looking for answers and kind of finds a justification from God, or however you see he finds that justification from, whether it's actually him or whether it's actually God or whatever. I
know it's really hard to talk about this because we're talking about a film character who also happens to be the figure of the world's most influential or largest religion, and so
to many a figure that actually.
So it's hard talking about this film character without factoring in the real world Jesus.
Yeah, exactly.
And so we have to talk about the real world Jesus when you talk about this film. So, like, fair warning. That that's the thing we're going to be doing this episode. So I do find that interesting. So this film was like, okay, let's say this dude Jesus, like, he was a thing. Let's just say he was there, and you had this bloke going around saying, hey, let's believe in God, like every other Messiah that was around the time saying, hey, let's believe in God. And then he realizes he needs to become this martyr. He needs to die on the cross to inspire a religion to be birthed around this action of sacrifice. Of washing away sins.
I don't think that's the reason he's doing it. But yes.
No. Yeah. But like he knows this is he does. I don't think he knows the ramifications, but he knows that this is a thing he has to do.
Yes.
And you see just a guy being like, oh shit, I need to be crucified, and he's afraid, and he's like, I don't want to die. he's like, I want to keep living and loving and preaching the word of God, but I don't want to fucking die on a cross.
Yeah.
And he realized this, and he and you see him deal with this fear. But like, I don't know, like it's just him kind of just seeing this film's just watching Jesus do sinful things, like sorry, him watching sinful acts and just being like, well, that ain't good, is it? Like like you see him just like watch like Mary fuck like 10 guys and he's like, that's not good, is it? Or you'll see like him just like watch Mary be stoned by a bunch of guys and he's like, no, don't do that. It's basically him just like saving Mary, essentially. That's like half the film. Like
that's the first quarter of this film. Yeah.
Fuck, Mary's weird in this film, isn't she? Like she's got like some weird ass tattoos on her for starts, like weird like arrows on her face and like.
Well, I think at this point too, bringing up like let's say traditional like tattoos and things that may or may not have been around at this time, probably were from. I don't know enough about the distinct history of, you know, those tattoos or whether they were or would not have been. Tell you what, who would not have been in this area of the world at this time?
Yeah.
White people.
Oh, yeah.
So you kind of have to...
American accent, Jesus.
It's saying that. I think what's actually weird about the tattoos and stuff is that it's a white woman that's, you know... I
know, this film's trying to be very historically accurate, but then at the same time does weird shit like that.
It's very multicultural. There's a lot of different races and people throughout this film, but it has to be noted that it is a bit of a whitewash.
Oh yeah,
which given the time was probably 88. It was probably happening a fair bit in terms of
it still
historical
does,
films.
mind you, man. Like,
it does.
We've done better.
We're getting better. Yeah,
but like it's still happening.
But I mean, like, wasn't there a Genghis Khan film that came out in the 50s or something? That was
where what's his name? A really prolific comedic actor. Like, it was pretending to be Asian, and it was terrible. It was like Charles Heston. It wasn't Charles Heston, or maybe it was Charles Heston, but like
I'm not sure. Yeah,
it was something like that, where like he did really bad yellow face for it.
So I feel like almost like that questioning of like the tattoos and like the way she looks, and that it's like it's not as genuine as because it's not genuine. You're like, it's not. Like it's not this. I don't buy this kind of costume, I guess. But she does act very well.
Yeah, I mean, given what the actors have got, like, there's no real weak links. Except, I don't know, I didn't really buy Harvey Keitel as Jesus.
No, as Judas, yeah.
Judas, sorry, pardon me. Okay, something I do want to talk about is hair in this film.
Oh, yes.
Okay, so, arguably the best hair in cinema is potentially Willem Dafoe's hair in this film. His hair, like, every scene, his hair is amazing.
He even has that crown of thorns on his head, and that hair is still majestic.
It's impeccable. This whole film is basically a Pantene ad. Like, like Jesus' hair shines in this.
Like. So he is the gold standard. Yeah. And then everyone else has. I was pointing out to you those people that had full perms.
Yeah, it's very 80s, isn't it? Like, very 80s. If Jesus lived in the 80s,
like these people that are meant to be the lower class, the people that are starving, you know. And here's this woman with a full perm saying, "We love you, Jesus. You're a great guy."
Like, even like I don't know, like even Willem Dafoe's like facial hair is quite beautiful. Yes. Like I just want his hair. He just looks so soft. Even when he goes out to the desert, like his hair and he comes back after like all these nights out in the desert, his hair is still amazing.
It's kind of like it's been like blow dried or something. It's got that airy airbrushed effect.
Yeah.
Harvey Keitel's hair.
Oh my god!
I think gets more and more red as the film goes on. Yeah.
His haircut is the worst hair I think I've ever seen in cinema. Like genuinely.
So Willem's the gold standard, and Harvey's trailing far behind.
It looks like the worst fake wig I've ever seen in my life. Like,
is it a wig though, or is it actually his hair? Do we think?
No, it can't be. Surely not.
I don't know. I like.
If it is, then he did something wrong. Like, if it is his real hair. But, like, it's just this, like, ginger mess. It's just, like, it's patchy and it's just, like, loose. It's like the Joker's hair in Dark Knight. Like, it's just, like, in loose strands, but it's this ugly orange. Like, really. And I know, and the most obvious metaphor and allegory, of course, making him ginger because he's, like, the temptation figure who betrays Jesus. So let's give him red hair because he's a devil. It's like... it's just so ugly. Like, I was just looking at Harvey Keitel and I just stare at his hair just being like... Dude, just shave it off.
Is it a spoiler to say another person that appears in this film?
Yes, because they do fuck all, Brenton. They rock up for one fucking scene and they do nothing. And that just goes to show how shit the film is.
Okay, well, I won't spoil it here. We'll talk about it in spoilers then.
Yeah.
But there's someone in this film that's...
You get excited when they rock up.
That's right.
Because you're like, holy shit, yes, this person is in the film.
And then they just leave.
And they do fuck all. They're in there for one scene. They're like, if you were to look up this film, you'd see their name plastered all over like the promotional material. And like... It ain't anything. They do nothing. They rock off for one scene, and the scene right before shit actually starts happening, and it's nothing.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. it's again, everything's pretty well acted, but I understand what you're saying, and can say that I was checking the watch. I was,
Yeah, you and I were so bored throughout this film. Like, and everyone's just so serious. Like, I know it's like, this is a general criticism I have about movies set in ancient times. It's just, it's like people when you portray, okay, so when artists today portray like 2,000, 3,000 year old events that happened like so far ago, like important historical events, everyone just acts so serious. Like it's like almost like people never made jokes back in ancient times. It's like, I'm not asking like for a real jokey Marvel kind of film, but I'm just saying that like everyone's just so serious all the time, and it's just inhuman. Like no one farts in the film. Like no one no one makes a joke about like how stupid half the people look in this. Like no one's no one's being like, oh man, everyone's like waking up early like, oh man, just a shitty morning. Didn't have coffee back then. Like no one's drinking the wine going, oh, let's try not to get too fucked tonight. Like it's all, and I guess because it's dealing with religious text, but then again, I counteract that argument with saying this film is not adhering to religious text.
Well, yeah, and let's say that if the goal of the film is to portray portray these figures as human beings in this biblical story, a common thread amongst humanity in the way that we relieve ourselves of tension and these serious situations is with comedy.
Yeah, but there's just nothing. That's, I guess, like when you juxtapose this to Life of Brian, man, it's so much more refreshing, and I think it's more insightful when it comes to religious.
Perhaps, yeah. I'd need to watch it again, but I still do think that the end of this film asks some interesting questions, and not just because of the humanizing of Jesus, but I also think that it really goes into, and what Scorsese is really trying to explore is this deed, this sacrifice that he made, and the significance of it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I love the line. One of my favorite lines in the movie is when Willem Dafoe says, "You want to know who my God is? It's fear." And he says, Lucifer is inside of me because he fears. Well, this event that he has to do. Like, he's made up of fear, and feels like the reoccurring theme of this film. And and it makes you think, like, if you were around back then, you'd be scared shitless. Imagine if you, Brenton, like, you woke up one day and God is like, "Hey, you're my son," and you're like, "What?" And God's like, "Brenton, spread my message. Tell people I exist. Maybe sacrifice yourself, but spread people about love." And you're like, because Jesus knows this is going to happen. He keeps having visions of it. So imagine if you had to go through that, Brenton. How would you feel?
I mean, I'd probably feel like Willem Dafoe in this film.
You'd be rolling around on the floor, writhing, or like the sound effect of an eagle just came over you.
I'd be trashing the marketplace, yelling, "This is my father's house!
Out am I?
Out am I?"
You would.
You're out, Norman. Oh my god! I was saying to Nathan before we started this episode that it's so ironic that in last week's episode we had a huge tangent on the Spider-Man trilogy.
Yeah.
And this week
we happened to watch a film
starring the great Green Goblin, Willem Dafoe. Yeah.
I way prefer Willem Dafoe in Spider-Man over this, because he's just having so much more fun, and like this whole film is just him changing outfits. So he's got like a bandana at one point, and he's just like pulling the most serious faces.
I think to his credit, I think Defoe's giving as he always does.
He's trying hard.
A fantastic performance.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love him as the Green Goblin. God, he's great. He brings so much to that role, especially in a time where, like, superhero films weren't. Well, we weren't in the MCU.
Yeah, they hadn't blown up yet.
Yeah, exactly. It was a bit of a risk, so to speak. But he nailed.
God, he gave it. Yeah,
God, he was so good.
And just him in this, it's just him and Harvey Keitel just having convo after convo about, like, "Are you ready, Jesus?" And he's like, "I don't know if I'm ready." And then Judas is like, "But are you ready, Jesus?" And he's like, "Maybe I'm ready." And then finally, like, and you finally see like the historical events happen. They're just so boring. Like when he meets John the Baptist, it's just like this weird.
Oh, really? I liked how it kind of.
And there's like a weird dance orgy. Like,
yeah, again, it was more real in the sense that. I remember going back to our school days. We both went to an Anglican school.
We did.
And so we had these classes called Christian Living.
Yes.
And we'd learn all these little Bible stories.
We did.
And things that happen. And when we learned about John the Baptist, it wasn't portrayed as that. It was a very, majestic lake, and John was this kind of young-looking guy with this well-groomed beard, and Jesus was this beautiful, and
it was an event,
and it was all very holy and whatnot. Whereas this was just, it was what it. In my mind, it might have been, you know.
Yeah. Maybe that's why I am averse to it, because with this mythic figure, like the most mythic figure, you know, it's you're not used to seeing it happen so plainly and so ordinarily. But I guess that does humanize him in a unique way. But the thing about God is that he's not humanized. He's a god. Like that's the whole point of it. Like seeing. Like,
but I think what this film does well with that character, and specifically Dafoe's performance, is that yes, he's a god, but he's in a man's body, and
he's really freaking out about that.
Yeah, it's that inner struggle of God versus man.
Yeah,
that's actually happening in a human being. Like that's, and for even though even though the pacing and stuff is quite slow, and
it's so slow. Oh my god, this film's so slow.
To be fair, a lot of Scorsese's films are quite slow paced. Like, God, like there's a few of them that are really slow paced, but
they're worth it most of the time.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. I was still asking questions, and this film was making me think throughout the beginning stages. It's just that I wish that there was a few more threads that kept the vibe alive, so to speak. That kept it engaging constantly, you know, and so every moment I was like, oh, that's making me think. It was like then to another really slow kind of montage of Jesus walking through the desert.
It's just Jesus walking about, and I do like that we saw him realistically do the things that he did. Like it wasn't just like him preaching the word and everyone's like, oh gosh, it is the Son of Christ, and they're all like just enamored with him. I do like it, like when you first see him preach, and they're like, oh, give us bread, and he's like, no, I'll give you justice, and they're like, no, we're hungry. Give us fucking bread. And he's just like, justice. And then people are like, okay, fine, justice, whatever. And then Jesus, and they're like, okay, now there's bread. And he's like, no, there's no bread. And then you see Jesus like, fuck, how do I get these people's attention? And then he just like ends up doing all these miracles. And he's like, hey, come see the miracle man.
I like that scene where we all know the story of how he turned the man that was blind and made him see again.
Yeah.
I liked that. Again, it's Defoe's performance. I think he's doing some great work. In that moment where he actually cures this man, and even he's kind of surprised by it. Like,
he's just like, oh shit!
He's like, I was just blessing you, God, and it's kind of like, but at the same time, it's like he's like, why did I even question that? Like in his performance, this is so great. And it's just the look he gives, and and so there's moments like that I really like, but
there's so far and few.
Exactly, and overall, I was just like, come on. I said to you at some point, like this last half an hour of this film could have just been a short film.
Exactly, yeah, because like the first 2 hours is just recounting the same story you know so well, even if you're not that Christian, because it only covers like the milestones of Jesus, and like, and there's also like there's so many random films and the scenes in this film that we'll go into in spoilers because they're worth talking about, but I just don't think it's worth it. Like I'm done with it. Can we just do it right? Yeah,
I'd say rate it. Yeah, Nathan.
Nah, thumbs down.
I thought, what a surprise.
Yeah, I know. Thank you, I'm like thumb up.
Gosh.
Yeah. No, like, because you and I were talking about this before as well. Like, Thursday night on Netflix, you're not going to fucking watch the Last Temptation of Christ.
I turned to Nathan during the film, and because I started laughing, and Nathan's like, what are you laughing at? And I was like, I just remembered the premise of this show, and that it is Thursday night with your mates. What film are we watching, guys? Oh, Last Temptation of Christ. Oh, one of my favourites. Get it on. We've only watched it for the past 4 weeks. Get it on again. It's great. No, look.
It's not worth it. If you love Scorsese, there's like a billion other Scorsese films you could watch over this.
And again, like watch the last 40 minutes.
Yeah, actually, start from when he gets actually nailed on the cross and just watch the last 40 minutes. Yeah. You need no context as to who was who before that. Like ignore all of it.
If you know the story, like, go from there, because it really flips it on its head, and it goes into the significance of that sacrifice and why it's important, and it really humanizes it for a modern audience.
Yeah.
But in saying that, overall, this film, I'm going to say thumbs down.
Yeah.
It has some moments, but like Nathan said, they are few and far between.
This film does not hold up 30 years on. Yeah. It really doesn't.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. There are better Jesus films out there. What do you recommend as a better Jesus film?
Look, as funny as it sounds, I think I'm not the biggest fan of this musical, but I think but Jesus Christ Superstar, at least it's got some catchy tunes, and it's actually a similar Jesus that's also human and there's a whole song dedicated to that idea of like, why God, why must I die, and then coming to the conclusion that he must sacrifice himself. Like it's a and that was quite controversial as well. I remember when that music.
Yeah. Oh, every time Jesus is involved in anything, there's always controversy.
Yeah. But
I know my favorite representation of Jesus in film has always been Ben-Hur, in my opinion.
I haven't seen Ben-Hur, so I can't say.
I'm going to spoil Ben-Hur for you right now. Sorry.
God damn it, Nathan.
But like,
God damn it.
I'm sorry, I'm going to spoil it for you.
Yeah, go
it's not, there are lots of things happening in Ben-Hur, so it's not like the major spoiler. But so in Ben-Hur, we should do a Ben-Hur episode at one point. But like,
yes, please.
The premise of Ben-Hur is that you watch this military general. It's kind of like Gladiator. Actually, it's very similar to Gladiator. If you've seen that film, you watch this military general, question his faith, and he gets excommunicated by the Romans, and you see him return to Rome and all that kind of stuff. And there's a scene like 2/3 through the film where he's just walking about through the desert, and he just happens to stumble upon Jesus. Like not just and like Jesus just talking to a group of people. So like the whole film he's just like, oh fuck all this, like he just has no faith. He just wanders into like a little town, and then Jesus is like on a little rock giving a speech, and you never see Jesus. So like you only see the back of him, and you see this like general walk through the crowd, and he's hearing that man's voice, and then you see like the back of Jesus' head, and he's got the famous Jesus haircut, and you're like, oh, it's Jesus. And then like and then Charles Heston talks to Jesus, and then he's like, okay, I now know what I need to do, and then he just goes back off, and you never see Jesus again. And that was a really good representation of him, I thought. But cool. I guess I can't really talk it up because you haven't seen it.
I haven't seen it, but it sounds cool. It sounds really interesting. Is it like a long take too?
Yeah. It's a really great scene. Even if you don't want to watch Ben-Hur, just like YouTube it. That sounds cool. It's fantastic. That sounds cool. Have you seen what's that Coen Brothers film where they did the 2016, that movie set one where they're filming the old movie?
Oh yeah. Oh god, what is it called with Channing Tatum?
Oh, All Hail Caesar. Thank you.
Yep.
Hail Caesar. Yeah.
Hail Caesar.
Yeah. When George Clooney, when they're filming that scene and he walks up to the man on the cross and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
It's like that. That's like parody of what happens in Ben-Hur. Like, yeah.
Yeah, cool.
So that's a way better representation of Jesus.
Yeah, I need to watch Ben-Hur. We should definitely do an episode. There you go.
Yeah.
Write that down.
I don't know if I want to watch Ben-Hur again. It's so long. It's good, but it's so long.
For the podcast, Nathan. For classic movie banter.
Fine. Yeah. Thumbs down. Watch, they're better. And also for Scorsese. If you were starting with Scorsese, where would you start? Because Raging Bull's my favourite, but I wouldn't say start with Raging Bull.
Oh, okay. What is the age of the person that we are?
Let's say
someone our age.
Like let's say in the 20s.
Early 20s.
Yeah,
I would say.
Actually, can you say for the teens first? Because that might be a better thing.
Teens, Shutter Island.
Yeah, actually, yeah. Actually, yeah, that's a great starting point.
If you're a bit older, if you're in your 20s, watch Goodfellas.
Yep. Yeah, that's a great starting point.
Yeah. Or no, don't start with Taxi Driver. No.
Taxi Driver's hard to start with.
Or Wolf of Wall Street too. Yeah.
Yeah, Wolf of Wall Street's
great. Yeah, I think that's
a great one, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, for someone that's our age, I'd say Shutter Island's great.
If you're looking at a child, maybe give them Hugo or something like that. Like,
yeah, well, Hugo's like the only option.
One. It's the only kids film. Like, yeah.
God, do you like Hugo?
No.
Okay, I don't mind Hugo. I don't mind it.
That's okay.
It's not my favourite for sure. Of his.
Oh, I remember speaking of 3D. Remember how back when Hugo came out, like they were blasting 3D all over that movie?
Yeah.
I remember being unimpressed by it.
I didn't need it. Like it was such a good that film had such a great art style and production design that it was kind of magical enough, if that makes sense. Yeah. It didn't really need it. And again, 3D's proven to be one of those phases that hasn't really stuck. Now it's all about like IMAX cameras and I guess cinema quality. But even then, it's just CGI is just the biggest thing that's just like.
Yeah.
But again, it's not really big. Here we go. Here's a question.
Okay.
In cinema today, what is like the phase we're in?
As in like the gimmick?
Is it the franchise?
There's always been franchises, at least for the past 40 years.
But what is it now?
So it was 3D. What's like the next thing?
Yeah, what are we in?
Yeah, but IMAX has always been like IMAX was around before 3D as well.
True, yeah.
Yeah, it's more like the event film, I should say. It's the event. Like
it's like let's take Star Wars. There hasn't been a sequel since the prequels or whatever, and we haven't seen. Let's take these old actors, bring them out. let's do...
Actually, yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Returning, like, long dead franchises.
Yeah.
That's it. Not just, like, you know, doing another sequel, another reboot. It's, like really old franchises, like, really bringing them back.
God,
and
yeah.
reprisals of roles actors haven't done in, like, 20, 30 years. That's, like, the trend, I think, right now. Like with Jamie Lee Curtis, how they're filming that new Halloween, and she's coming back.
Yeah,
like,
yeah. How ridiculous.
And also they're doing, with the new Terminator, they're bringing back Sarah Connor.
Yeah. For our listeners at home, I'm shaking my head slowly as Nathan's saying this. I'm just like,
waggling your finger at the microphone, just like,
I'm just going, leave it alone. Like, I don't know. Like,
leave Terminator alone.
Thoughts on Terminator?
Okay.
Let's save it for an episode.
Are we going to do a Terminator episode?
I feel like we should
But have you seen the Terminators?
Yeah.
Have you seen all of them?
I haven't seen the third one.
Oh, okay.
But everyone says... don't watch it.
Quick Terminator recap. One's great. One's really
good.
great.
Yeah.
Yeah. Two's fucking excellent. Like,
yeah, I thought you were going to say it's awful.
Oh, really?
And I was like, no.
No.
No. Like,
No. Bad
Two
Nathan.
is incredible. Yeah.
Two's so good.
It's so good.
Because you hear it's good. And like... But it's good. Like, you hear it's good, it actually lives up to being that good.
So good. Far out. And like... Okay. There's only one man in the world that could play a robot realistically, that you could buy as a robot, and it is Arnold Schwarzenegger.
And he's fantastic,
like,
isn't
he's so good. Like,
Yeah.
there's other people that have played robots and they've done a decent job, such as Robin Williams in, what was it, Bicentennial Man, or what they have.
I thought you were talking about like Robin Williams in the film Robot, like when he plays that red robot.
Oh yeah, robots. Yeah.
He's literally
with
a robot.
Ewan McGregor as
That's
Rodney,
right.
whatever his name is. God,
I like that film.
I do too.
Yeah.
I haven't seen it in a while. Again, it's one of those.
No.
It's one of those movies
I
that
remember
came out
that-
when we were kids, and you just don't know if it still holds up. But
No.
you remember enjoying it.
The thing that I think makes that film hold up is the domino scene.
Yes.
Holy
shit!
Isn't it so good?
Bigsworth? What's the guy
something
called?
like that.
Yeah.
The real fat robot that they go is in hiding.
And he rolls along. He's
They like
hey!
just surf on the dome. It's so random of a film.
God. And it's like it didn't get a sequel. It didn't.
No,
it was just kind of there.
It's just it just exists. Yeah.
Gosh. So spoilers.
Yeah.
Spoilers. Nothing but spoilers. Nothing but spoilers. Do we need to do this section for this film? I don't know. It's one of those things.
Spoilers: Jesus dies.
So I feel.
No, actually, spoiler: Jesus doesn't die. So that's like the main twist of this film.
Well, he does. No, but he does.
Yeah, in the end, yeah. When Jesus rocks up, he's like, "What the fuck are you doing?" He's like, hey, "Get back on the cross."
So we go. He gets on the cross, and then we go into kind of like this. We go basically into Jesus's mind games against Lucifer.
Yeah.
Yeah. Who is in the form of this little girl. Who I called straight
Brenton
away.
Called straight away.
I said,
and I'm like, but the thing is with the stream sequence, it goes on for a while. And I'm like, and I remember looking to Brenton like, oh, but if this is saying you reckon like the game would be up by now. But no, it just keeps on going. It just keeps on going.
And my favorite thing about this is that it again, it's that idea of like, it makes this sacrifice, it's like another layer to this sacrifice, because it's always like Jesus died for everyone's sins, and that's a big deal.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's one of those things.
It's
that's
like
very
that what
easy.
if. Like.
It's like that very easy thing to say that you're taught in during school and stuff. But this really goes into that and goes into the emotional toll and that temptation to give in to living a life as an individual and having a family, like all these things, and that Jesus, I guess, isn't promised in the gospel, but he gets to experience in this dream sequence before he's realized he's been tricked. Yeah, it's cool.
It is very cool. And
then the scene where like he's on his deathbed as a man, and his family's around him, and Lucifer's by his side, and then the disciples, the old disciples, come in. Finally,
I love their old makeup in this.
Yeah, I do too.
Like watching Willem Dafoe's old Jesus is amazing. Like that makeup almost makes the film worth
Harvey
it.
Keitel's like old makeup. Like it's clear that he's an old man, but it's like, did he really age? Like, he looks kind of the same.
He looks the exact same. It's like everyone's like aged like significantly, and then there's like Harvey Keitel just walks in as Judas. He's like, "Sup?" And Jesus is like, "The fuck? Why are you looking the same?" Because Jesus is like balding. Like he's got like hair falling out.
Yeah.
And like it's balding Jesus. It's because he dies so young. You never imagine what old Jesus would look like. And he's like, I had a family, I had a kid, and they're just like, dude, like get back on the cross. Like I love the scene where Jesus like goes up to that guy preaching, and he's just like, and the guy's like telling the story of Jesus, and he's like, the fuck? He's like, this isn't my life. Like, what are you talking about?
Oh, and there's that, and it asks that question is like, if Jesus didn't come back in reality, and it's kind of
that
idea
what
that
if like
the disciples actually came up with the story. In this,
it's like a conspiracy theory. It's like he never did die. Like
and but even so, the disciples like think he's dead or whatever, and they're like, oh no, he was resurrected, and Jesus is like, hang on a second, no, like I died for. I didn't die.
They're putting like a hand over his mouth, like shush.
I didn't die. I didn't do that. I kind of gave up, and an angel came and took me off the cross, and that was all good. But in your mind, I died, but that was for like your sins and whatnot. It wasn't to come back and be floated around as some like great thing that never actually.
He didn't want to be a martyr.
That's
and, like,
right.
Yeah.
And then
but they make him a martyr, and they're like,
there's that great line. He's like, I don't care about
I
you.
don't care if you're Jesus or not.
I don't care if you're Jesus or not. I don't care about Jesus. I care about the resurrected Jesus, because that's the message that we need to spread so that this takes off.
Yeah, Jesus is like a diva backstage. Like, I don't want to go on stage. He's like, dude, you put on the fucking costume and you dance.
yeah.
And he's like, fine, I guess. Like, yeah,
so that's cool. Yeah,
I do like that this film explored that direction, because you really see like the ramifications of Jesus not making that move, and he's like, oh fuck, okay, I have to do this. And it's so funny when he gets back on the cross at the end, like you can see him actually enjoy being there. He's like he's dying, it's miserable, but like when it cuts to black or whatever, like his face is like
he's at peace. With his decision, I guess. Yeah.
No, exactly.
Yeah.
So like, there are a lot of random scenes in this film that could have been cut out. Like I did not care for. Yeah. One is like the recurring motif of that fucking tree rocking up.
The apple tree. Yeah.
And I said to Brenton like during the film, like, have a drink every time there's just religious imagery in this film, and like that's what I feel like this whole film is, Brenton. I feel like just Martin Scorsese opened up a Bible, got out a highlighter, and he's just like highlighting every like image he can like put onto film. It's like, oh, there was a tree, like a red apple. Or he's walking through the Louvre, and he's doing all the art of like the Garden of Eden, all that kind of stuff. And he's like, I'm gonna make that onto a film.
I feel it's a lot more personal for Scorsese, though. I think this is quite a personal film for Scorsese in the sense that he is a Catholic, and he is, and I feel like there is a lot in those symbols for him. Yeah. And probably other Christians
but
as well.
It doesn't do anything with those symbols, Brenton, because you see Jesus just like, he goes and sees the tree, it always rocks up, and is...
I agree,
yeah.
I agree.
He goes to bite it, he eats the apple, and then he's full of sin, it rots in his mouth, and then he acts sinful. And it's just like... That's all it is. Yeah. Like, it doesn't do anything beyond that.
I do agree. I guess there was only... I think there was one point that I was... But even so, it's like how the blood like comes from his hands, from like the wounds, from like where the nails will be. But
this is just religious imagery. We've seen so much. This film just does nothing with it, but just present it, and just assuming we're going to gather all this meaning from. It's like, oh, he's biting the tree. How provocative! Jesus, he's now the new Adam. It's interesting. I guess the only interesting thing it is that that's the way God, I guess, communicates with Jesus is by that imagery. That's the only thing. But even then, it's like it's questionable. And Jesus complains about
God.
it. He's just like, God only gives me like little snippets. He's like, fuck this. Like,
but and again, like, we don't even know if that's God, because most of the time it's the devil again kind of tempting.
Yeah. Like I didn't care for that scene where the devil's like playing with Jesus in the desert in this little circle.
When he's in the circle. By the way, Jesus drawing his circles. God damn, he must be the Messiah, because holy shit, what a perfect circle.
That's a damn good circle, isn't it?
God damn.
Like when you like there's an overhead shot of Jesus just like tracing a circle in the sand in a desert. Circle. I remember you and I looking at each other, being like, that's a good circle.
Which again shows the flaws of this film, is that we turned to each other and had that conversation as opposed to actually, because
we were so fucking bored.
Exactly.
Like and just like the random snake rocking up. Also, the snake's voice is this woman. It was I don't know, like I just felt it was really random, because you see this cobra you see this real life cobra just sitting there, just like turning its head, just like in real life you can just tell they just like dropped a snake on set, and they've just gotten this video of this random chick trying to make it sync up. Like the body language of the snake does not match it. Like that's why I wish almost this film was made now, because you could see like snake CGI just like doing a proper thing.
Yeah. Well, do you think it was like an animatronic snake, or like it looked almost like
I think it was a real snake.
Really? I thought it looked, when it first came out of that hole, when he's in like the little hut and it comes out of the hole in the ground, I thought it looked like its movement pattern looked so fake, dude. I thought it was like they'd like thrown up like a rubber snake and been like, oh, and they just kind of like landed up there, and then they were just like pushing it out.
It's like the guy from the Muppets, like the Henson. Like he's just he's just got some poles and he's moving it about.
Or like the spaghetti chef in the Muppets, like how he's like the spaghetti comes alive. That spaghetti was more alive than the snake.
I mean, you're not wrong, but like, but like also just like the line was so random. Like I didn't care that Aslan Aslan rocked up, and like also
Aslan. There's the best biblical adaptation is C.S. Lewis's Chronicles of Narnia. The
way better.
Witch in the Wardrobe. In fact, we watched that in Christian Living. There you go.
Yeah, and I loved it. It's a great film, and the sacrifice by Aslan's on the tablet is way better than like what you see in here. And it's like because it's allegory. This film's just so blatant with its message. Like
until that last section.
And that's the weird thing. Like the first 2/3 of this film is just so like it's not married to the gospel text because it still diverges from it heapsly, but it still like is adamantly telling the story of Jesus. And then like the last third, the film's like, fuck it, let's just drop everything and go what if and just write this fanfic for the last 40 minutes. Like you take it so seriously and then it just doesn't.
I like thinking about it. I think maybe for that ending to hit home, maybe the thought was that it needed to be as like accurate as possible, so that in that last moment, like because like that last kind of I guess battle Jesus has is so human. Like it is no, but it is human. And that's what I appreciate.
Because he is
about
human,
it.
Brenton.
Exactly. But
the man, but the spirit of the Father.
I really appreciate it, but it's like, and I kind of get where Scorsese's coming from with the imagery as well of like Adam and Eve and the apples and the snake.
But it's all this imagery,
but because it's true, but it's like I think it's trying to make the point, and this is me just thinking this out now. Yeah. It's almost like it's trying to make the point. It comes back to that. Let's humanize Jesus. So let him make literally the same mistake as Adam and Eve did, like in the Garden of Eden.
Okay.
And so he is enticed by the snake, by the apple, and he does make those human errors, and it shows him that he is vulnerable, and this could all fail, and the world could maybe end. Maybe. But
that's a good reading. Like,
and that's just thinking about it a bit more. But whether you're actually going to give this film the time of day to think about it is another thing altogether.
Yeah, I just think if you're going to have these religious thoughts, I think there's just so many better avenues than watching this film that you could take for that.
At least we've had this discussion. Though.
We have, and we're so religiously enlightened now, Brent, in this episode. Like, I feel so renewed. Like, But I do feel like, but I don't know. There's like the film does do that, but then there's just so many things like I was grotesqued out. I didn't like the scene where he rips out his own heart for no. Like,
oh God,
that was difficult to watch.
Shit, that was full on.
Yeah,
I was like, is his hand inside his?
Because it looks it, doesn't it?
Inside his chest cavity. Oh yeah, it is.
Yeah.
That's a heart.
And he just like rips out his heart. And I looked away. I'm like, ugh. Like, nobody I can take gore, but like, that was just unpleasant because Dafoe just sells that performance like he's literally ripping out his own heart.
Oh God, yeah.
And also like when the random dude got stabbed, like when Jesus brings the guy back to life, he's like, fuck yeah, I'm back to life. And then like maybe 20 minutes later, he just gets randomly killed again.
Yeah, that's brutal. That was cool. That was a good like. Yeah.
That was like plot twist moment. I was like, shit, he's dying again because the guards go up to him and they're like, oh, so what's it like being dead? And he's like, oh, it's the same as life, life and death, two sides of a coin. And like, cool,
nice.
cool. Stab. and the guy's like, et tu brute? And he just like collapses. Like,
yeah.
No, like, it makes me wonder like how Christians will react watching this movie because like you and I are not like deeply religious in that sense, or are we? Like,
oh no, I'm not.
Yeah, so like I don't know, for someone who was very married to the gospel and that kind of stuff, I wonder how they would react watching this kind of film. Like, would they want to see this fanfic, or would they be disgusted at the idea of Jesus turning away the idea of sacrifice?
I can't call it. I gotta stop you. I really don't think it's a fanfic. I think I know that like the last bit deviates from but it still goes back to it. It's like it's just like
because it's a dream sequence. Like it's
it's an exploration, I guess, of.
I mean derogatory saying
like
fan fiction.
It is, but it's not. Yeah, it's kind of I don't know. Like,
imagine if I was deeply religious and Jesus. To my knowledge, the religious teachers, he was adamant on the idea of sacrifice. Like reading the New Testament, I never interpreted Jesus to really be like, he definitely wasn't amused with the idea of sacrificing himself on the cross, but like
I guess that's it's one of those things.
I don't think the text really, like the New Testament explores like his true fear about sacrifice.
But
he shouts at God like he.
But it constantly states the fact that he's human, that he's a man, and I guess what this does and what Jesus Christ Superstar does, and what people have discussed for many years,
millennia,
is just kind of what must have this, if this was a man, and if he really was the Son of God, or even if he wasn't, what the hell was going on in that head of his that was what happened, like in that those last.
It's just like it turns into like a cop drama, and like two detectives walk on the scene. They just see his body. It's like, what happened to this guy? You know, like the one guy's eating a donut, and there's like two New York cops, and they're like, what happened to this guy? What do you reckon's going on? What's the motive here? They're like looking at the cross, going, yeah, I reckon he had some issues going on. What do you think? Like,
I don't know what else really to add to this. It's just,
I like when you do find out that the girl was Satan. I was like, holy shit! Like, I know you said it, but like, I still found it twisty.
Yeah, you
like,
went, oh, you got it.
I was like, I was like, yeah, high five, buddy. Like, yeah, you got it. I know. I found that twisty, and like, yeah, I don't think there's like that much from it.
I mean, I guess the link, with the sexual image of Mary Magdalene at the end, where he finally goes to bed with her and, you know, has a child, and then she's taken away from him. Yeah, I think that links to the start where he waits for her all day. I guess that was the only justification I had for them showing that at the start.
Yeah,
you know,
like, I get that.
But again, it's not, like I said, it's not a strong enough link at the start to make me be like as invested in it. I mean, we could have just gone straight to the scene between Jesus and Mary and gotten it. You know, like. The performance was enough.
Do you reckon we could have, because this film's rated R, do you reckon we could have watched this on Christian Living when we were...
No, I don't think the school would have let us, no.
Yeah, true, because it goes with that idea that Jesus was like, oh fuck, I got to go on a cross. Like,
and also there's sex scenes in it. Like there's...
Oh yeah, true. Yeah, it's not that sexual.
No, like, but it's...
You do see some boobs, yeah?
It's not even the nudity, it's just that there's... The sex scenes in it, there's some sexual motion in it that I think the school would have just been like, oh no, we can't show this.
No. You know? Yeah, I remember when you and I watched like films in school, like they'd fast forward sex scenes and that kind of stuff. Yeah. I remember like when we were at primary school, we'd be in the lecture theatre and they'd like fast forward through a sex scene. Yeah. And everyone in the lecture theatre was like, oh, everyone would grow. Yeah. It was like the teacher would stand up and then press fast forward for like 2 minutes, and you'd see just like the frames of the scene, and everyone would be like, oh. I remember like in Bruce Almighty, which is a great film about Christianity. I think there was a sex scene in that or something like that. I remember like they fast forwarded through it, and they're just like, oh come on, like
yeah. But in saying the only reason I say that we might not have watched it. Yeah, I don't think it's so much the religious content of it, of like that it questions some things and, you know, the depiction of Jesus. Because we watched some pretty messed up stuff in year 12, like in senior school, in Christian Living. We watched some random stuff that I don't even know why we watched. Like,
I don't know why
we watched Blood Diamond. Yeah. We watched Crash. We watched documentaries on cults.
We did,
including Marshall Applewhite and Heaven's Gate. During that class, I was just wondering, why are we watching this?
And it's such a hard contrast in when we were in secondary school compared to primary school, because in primary school, all our Christian videos were just VeggieTales. Yeah, yes. Like it was just all VeggieTales. And VeggieTales was excruciating, even as a child.
It's awful, isn't it?
Because as a child, like even most shit you still eat as a kid, like when you watch stuff. But I remember back in the day, like, I hated VeggieTales so much, and there was songs in it as well. Like you see a fucking cucumber sing.
Oh, there was too, dude. I've like tried to delete it from my memory. Same. And I've succeeded for a lot of it, but I just remember that goddamn zucchini. You know what I mean? Like that. Oh, fuck.
And it was like the shittiest animation. It had no budget, and
who liked it? Like seriously, like because I remember kids being like, "Hey, VeggieTales," and it was like, "Vote for what you're gonna watch," and I was like, "No." Put on.
Yeah, that's right. We had the choice of watching movies, and like
we had the choice of watching Prince of Egypt or VeggieTales. And everyone chose VeggieTales except for a small handful of us, and I couldn't understand.
And you're like, you're all idiots.
Oh, why?
Is that your teenage voice? your voice breaking? Like
came out to play. So, Nathan.
Yeah.
What's this film's poster like?
This film's poster, let's have a look at it, Brenton. Well, it's a collection of thorns.
It looks more like a novel, doesn't it?
Actually, this is from a very famous poster designer from memory. You know, there's like a really iconic, like the iconic poster design. You know the Vertigo poster, where it's like, that one. Yep. He did this poster, that same guy.
I think it's pretty good. Like, it's not bad. By today's standards, again, this poster would not come out today.
Nope, it's too artistic. It's just, I like the text is very serious. Like
I appreciate that, like, it's not like just Jesus, like on the cross, or it's not like
just Jesus.
You know, like, even though maybe that's a good, but I don't know. The thorns with the red kind of alludes to that
Yeah, it's all about. I like the film itself. It's all just bloody imagery. So, yeah. I'm bored of this poster.
Yeah.
I got nothing to say on this poster.
It's alright. It's fun.
Yeah. I think if we made this poster better, I think just have like Willem Dafoe pulling like one of his weird faces and just have that be the poster.
So the thorns and then Willem Dafoe on his goblin glider with some pumpkin bombs, and he's like, "Out am I?"
Yeah.
Last Temptation of Christ.
Last Temptation. But yeah, very halfway. Yeah. So
there's not much.
There really is nothing to say about the poster. And then title talk. Well.
The Last Temptation of Christ. Great title for the end of the film.
Yeah. Because boy, was there some Last Temptation?
Well, that was literally the last temptation of him on that cross and the devil giving him the life.
Because I remember, because he gets tempted a lot throughout the film, and I'm looking at you, Brandon, and I remember thinking like, is this his last temptation?
What is the last temptation?
Yeah, what a good question.
So maybe that's why those temptations are placed in the film. It's like
as red herrings.
Yeah, he's like, because we have to get to the last one.
Lost. Is this the last?
This is the last one.
I found it. It's the last. It's just Willem Dafoe getting more and more crazy. He's like, is this it? Is this the last one?
Yeah, so it's a good title, but it doesn't really encapsulate the whole first half of the film.
No, it's like Jesus' life plus
plus the Last Temptation. Yeah. Yep, that's the title.
That's the title.
Jesus Christ plus his last temptation.
The movie.
The film.
Based not on the Bible. Do you remember at the start of the film when it has that text as well, where it's like, we promise this is not based on the Bible, don't sue us, don't get angry.
Yeah. This is based on another novel, don't stress, guys. It's all good.
It's all good. It's alright.
And it probably still wasn't.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Can I introduce a new segment?
Yeah, go for it, dude.
Can we call the segment Let's Replace the Main Actor?
Sure.
I reckon there would have been. There's a great number of people I would have loved to see portray Jesus instead of Willem Dafoe.
Al Pacino.
What are you doing now?
He would have been a better link with Harvey Keitel.
Oh, I would have loved to see Pacino do Jesus.
Jesus and Judas. Hey, what you doing? Oh, no, what are you doing?
What did you get in that cross? I'll put you in that cross. I'd love to see like Owen Wilson be Jesus.
Yes. Oh my God, Owen. Wow. I'm on the cross.
Oh my gosh.
And then Ben Stiller as Judas. Judas, yes.
Wow, just look at all these disciples.
Oh my God.
Mary, you're looking so good, Mary. Like, let's just have sex. Let's just bang Mary.
Yeah. He's got the locks. He's just
stroking his own hair.
He doesn't have the ethnicity, but neither does Willem Dafoe.
No, God, no. Yeah, I would have loved to see Matthew McConaughey be Jesus.
Oh no,
he's like, you got to get on that cross.
All right.
Life's just like a wind.
I'm God's son.
I'm God's son. I just got to get on that cross. Hey, Mary, how you doing?
This is my father's house.
Everybody stop riding. I would love to see it. I think Meryl Streep would do a great performance as Jesus.
Yeah, I do too.
Yeah, I think she'd nail it. Yep. I think she'd be amazing.
It'd be a performance for the ages. Yeah.
Yeah. But anyone could be Jesus. I say just open the doors wide. Just let anyone be Jesus, in my opinion.
Everyone be Jesus.
I think every actor at some point should pretend to be Jesus. Yes. You know what I mean? I think Robin Williams would make a great Jesus. Yeah. He's like, ow! I'm Jesus.
Denzel Washington as Jesus. God damn.
Oh yeah, yes. Denzel would be great.
Yeah. Oh. Yeah, actually, yeah, that'd be cool. That'd be real cool. Yeah.
I'd love to see Hugo Weaving as Jesus.
Yes.
I think he'd be great.
Yeah. Daniel Day-Lewis, give him a crack.
I'm surprised he hasn't. I think Daniel Day-Lewis in The Crucible is him doing Jesus, to be honest with you, because he's a very pious man, John Proctor, in The Crucible. And I reckon and he's got a little bit of a Jesus haircut in that.
film, by the way, The Crucible?
It's kind of it's one of those films you had to watch in high school, so normally you antagonize it because you have to study it. Like,
it's not bad. It's not that bad. It's not.
No, I don't remember hating it. I just remember being like, yeah.
I guess knowing the play, it's kind of okay. It's not.
Yeah,
but
I've never seen the play. Like, I've read the play, but I've never seen it performed.
The play is great. I really like the play. I've never seen it performed either, but I I watch plays on YouTube sometimes. I find like
Wow,
good
you're really
performances
cool.
and I'm like, oh yeah, I'm so cool, guys. Yeah, I do a film podcast. I watch plays on YouTube. Yeah,
So get outdoors once, Brenton.
just follow me on Twitter. Yeah.
It's like, this is where you talk about your gym, Brenton, and your jogs and all that stuff.
Hey, I'm not gonna. I promised you I wouldn't name drop it this week, but I go to the gym quite a bit.
Oh,
So,
shut
yeah.
up, Brenton. We know you exercise.
Right.
So,
as well as watch plays on YouTube. Yeah.
all
Anyway,
right.
so critics,
What are they saying?
what are they saying?
What are the critics saying?
I'm so interested to see what they say.
Oh, same. I think there's a good crop of critics. So,
What's the percentage on Rotten Tomatoes?
so on Rotten Tomatoes, thank fuck this week we're not in the 90s. So with so the critics gave it 81% on
Wow.
Rotten Tomatoes, which I think is far too kind. I say shit on Scorsese. He's made. I think this is the shittiest film I've ever seen.
It's not shittily made though. It's boring,
Yeah,
but it's not.
could be worse, but it ain't the room.
I can't call it The Room, and I can't call it Jack and Jill.
But yeah, so Rotten Tomatoes gave it 80%. So let's look at a positive critic. So Renee Schonfeld from the Common Sense Media, he gave it a positive review.
Mm-hmm.
He said, Brenton, controversial epic with brutality, sex, mature teens only. So it's for mature teens only? Like,
Yeah, adults stay away.
if I was a teenager and I was more curious about the life of Christ, I don't think I'd be watching this film. No. Mature teens only. It's like, I love it. It's got brutality, it's got sex. Maybe this is how you pitch Christ to teenagers. They're like, no, man, I don't want to study Christ. Like, it's boring. Like, I want to, study cool things. And they're like, hey, this one's got sex and brutality. Watch this, teenagers. Maybe that's where Renee is coming from. I don't know. I'm not a priest.
What priest is like preaching this? Like,
Yeah.
God. Anyway,
Okay, so Destin Thompson from the Washington Post, he gave it a positive review for some weird reason. He said, there are too many epic moments and impassioned performances to dismiss Scorsese's work.
I agree.
Yeah.
I'd agree. Yeah.
I don't know, epic moments like, him
Oh
on the cross. Like,
yeah. And there's a few great moments. Like John the Baptist, that whole scene's great. I think.
Yeah.
And there's a few sprinkled out throughout it. It's just it doesn't have that.
I like when Jesus brings that guy back to life and the guy's hand just sticks out. Like, that's a great, well shot scene.
Yeah.
And he's a mummy. He's like, fuck, I was dead. And Jesus is like, oh yeah, that's pretty fucked, eh? Like,
Again, it was like that shock of like, whoa, actually he's alive again. Well,
Yeah.
I did that. Yeah.
he's alive. Eric Mellon from scenesteals.com, he gave it a positive review. He said, all the characters in the film speak as people in today's modern society speak. And I argue that's one of the things that make Last Temptation of Christ so approachable. So Eric's just happy that they're speaking in modern tongue as opposed
I
to
think
like...
do this, but I find it a bit odd. Don't you?
As in they're speaking in just like common language for today.
Well, but sometimes there's a line or two that's just so out of place that you're like, come on, guys. Like,
Yeah.
no one spoke like that. Like,
No.
Yeah, and it's a
Yeah.
bit...
Like that scene where suddenly Jesus starts rapping, I was like, where did that come from? Like...
No, I thought... Don't you know? They always rapped back
Wait,
then.
yeah, Jesus was a rapper. That's right. Okay, now to the negative reviews, which is
let's
where I'm
get
happy.
into
Okay. So Kathy Burke from the United Press International said, Martin Scorsese's most provocative film also turns out to be uncomfortably slow-paced and sluggish.
Nailed it, Kathy Burke.
Truth bombs, Kathy.
Well done.
Josh Larson from Larson on Film, he gave it a bad review. He said, the inherent slodginess of biblical adaptations, to say nothing of Harvey Keitel's Brooklyn accent, ultimately manages to prevail. I don't think it manages to prevail at all. Fuck this film. Like, and also, yeah, Harvey Keitel does have a Brooklyn accent
Yeah,
in
it's
this.
so out of place.
I don't know why he's doing it.
so out of place.
It's like you're in like the Middle East. It's like, what are you doing? Like, no one's... Yeah, fuck Harvey Keitel's wig in this. Alright, Josh Nickham from Lawrence Journal World just said, overrated and dull. Is it overrated? I don't think no one in pop culture talks about Last Temptation of Christ these days.
I've heard a couple moments spoken about.
At the old cafe. People just chatting about this over coffee.
Listening up to the table next to you. I say, that moment in Last Temptation of Christ changed my world.
I must say, it just made me think again. I just watched that. I having to put it on again that Saturday night.
To be fair, I'm sure this film may have had that effect on people. Yeah.
It maybe in 1998, but certainly not now. Like, no one go back and watch this film.
Is these public reviews now?
Yeah, audiences.
Oh, let's go.
So let's see what the average Joes like you and me, Brenton. Let's see what they're saying. So Alan G gave it 4 stars. Said, a completely ridiculous film, every bit as ridiculous as you'd expect a film where Dafoe plays Jesus to be. You ain't wrong. Bowie yeah, spoiler alert, David Bowie's in this film. Oh yeah, we didn't even talk about that in spoilers. David Bowie's in this film.
Yeah.
I'll read the rest of this review.
Yeah.
So Bowie as Pontius Pilate and Keitel as Judas. It's an acid trip in a film. That's basically what I'm saying. So that's the full review. So
yeah, but Bowie's in the movie. He plays Pontius Pilate, and
he rocked up for one scene. He does nothing.
I was like watching it, and I was like, "Oh, cool." He's and then he left.
Yeah, David Bowie rocked up like, "Fuck yeah, David Bowie's in this film." He's completely wasted. He does this. Why is he in this film? Like, why do you agree to do this one scene where he just like talks to Jesus? Like,
if Scorsese asked me to do one scene in one of his films, I'd be there in a second.
But I argue at this point in time, I think Bowie was more prolific than Scorsese in 1988.
Probably. Yeah.
Like in 1988, Bowie was at the height of his powers.
True,
like,
but maybe Bowie saw some. Obviously saw some. Two artists came together to
two artists who loved each other very much came together and they birthed the Last Temptation of Christ.
They did, for the better and worse of society. Yeah.
We're going to say worse. But yeah, I think Alan G is definitely on it. Abel D gave it 4 stars, said sluggish pacing in the first half is compensated for by powerful performances and a compelling human lens on the Messiah's life.
Good review. Yep.
Yeah. I'm glad this film exists. I'll give it that. Like, I'm glad we do get to see this interpretation of Jesus.
Well, yeah, like I said, I'm really glad that we had the conversation that this film brought up. And obviously, like any film that does this with this story, that is an important story and allows us to have that conversation and in a new and intriguing way. It's
well done.
It's a good thing. But
Yeah.
it's a good thing. But that doesn't negate the fact that it's got serious issues.
Yeah.
Such as sluggish pacing in the first half. Yeah.
Scott M gave it a half star and just said, story about Jesus Christ from the Bible as a real everyday male with fault and vices. Not good. Really slow. One of Scorsese's worst movies.
Yeah, it's really slow.
It's so slow.
Yeah.
And I agree, Scott, it's not good. And last of the audience says, this is a long one, and it's a good one. This is one of my favourite reviews I'm about to read ever. To be honest with you. Okay.
I'm so excited. Go for it, dude.
So Charles Austin M. This is a long one. He gave it 1 star. Obviously, the critics who are so enamored with this movie themselves became so wrapped up in the controversial subject matter, a mildly provocative piece of fiction having zero to do with the Gospels, that they ignored the fact that it's not a very good film. Flat, two-dimensional cinematography, awful sets, terrible dialogue, bad acting, and unimaginative directing make Last Temptation a dull and overlong endurance test for any audience. I seriously think that Scorsese paid for the religious controversy that swirled around this flick when it debuted because the movie simply couldn't stand on its own artistic merit. Wow. This guy rips it to shreds.
Charles Austin M. throwing some shade.
He is my new best friend. Look at his profile pic as well. Just like, let me just zoom in on that. Like,
he kind of looks like De Niro.
He does.
Holy shit!
Sunglasses.
What if it is De Niro?
Like, De Niro's just bitter he wasn't asked to do this film.
So it's like his online alias that like he can post whatever the fuck he wants.
Yeah, but like look at that. Like okay, let's look at it. So he says two-dimensional cinematography. I agree. I don't think the cinematography was that good for
really?
this.
Come on, the way the camera moves with Jesus sometimes is pretty awesome.
Sure,
like
the camera movements. But like,
that's cinematography. Like the way the shots like are really interesting sometimes with the like when he's drawing his circle, his great circle.
Yes, he draws a good circle.
The overhead shot, but actually the shot before it, when the camera is like it's almost like it's attached to Jesus, and so the background's moving and he's staying like in front. Like
there's good shots, but like I don't know, like the landscape shots I found quite plain. Like I don't know, I feel like
that's because the landscape was plain.
You make a very good point. Awful sets. Well, there were no sets essentially, except for that marketplace. Really, it was all just apart from that ancient ruins. Terrible dialogue. The dialogue was boring.
There was some bad dialogue.
Yeah, unimaginative directing. I don't know. I've seen Scorsese do better.
I still think it's well directed.
Yeah, it is an endurance test. I will give it that.
Yeah, agreed.
That's for the most part. I think Charles is saying the right thing.
Good on you, Charles.
So,
yeah, it's very well articulated. So
yeah,
good on you, dude. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, that's Last Temptation, dude.
Fuck, that's a boring movie.
Well,
like, am I grateful we did it? Like, I don't know.
Well, I was gonna say before that I'm glad. I appreciate that I watched this film. I got what I needed out of it. I liked some of the questions it raised. I like this little chat we just had on Classic Movie Banter. I'll never watch this film again.
I will never see this.
Yeah.
I don't think I'll even mention this film again. Like there's nothing to this movie. Like, God, what a boring time. I wish we watched something else. Like,
Oh, I'm glad we watched it.
Oh, I'm glad you got something out of it.
Yeah.
Never watch this movie. Like, if you're just listening now for some weird reason, you're just scrubbing to the end of it. Like, don't watch this film.
If you can't watch the whole film, like, I understand.
If you're just like YouTube a scene, what scene would you want to YouTube?
Just watch the last. Like I said, watch the last half an hour.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yep.
Yeah.
Watch it as a short film and be like, you'll get what you need out of it.
Yeah, it'll fill you up. It'll make you feel good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Last Temptation of Christ. That's Classic Movie Banter, episode 12.
Done
and dusted.
Well done. Well done for us.
Well done, young Padawan.
Didn't we do a good job today, Brenton?
That was fun.
Star.
No, it was a fun episode. Sometimes it's good that you have a film that's a bit...
shit.
Yeah.
We haven't done a shit once since Emerald. We've had a great run since Emerald City.
Oh.
So, like, from going to Network to Kwai to Rocky 2 to Do the Right Thing.
Yeah.
Oh, Do the Right Thing compared to this. I swear to God. What a piece of shit movie. Like,
What do we watch next week?
yeah.
I don't know.
Like, can we watch something fun?
Yeah.
We've done so many serious films recently. It's been drama after drama after drama. Can we just do something? Can we do like an action or something like that? Like,
Yeah, for sure, dude.
yeah, let's just do a fun, energetic film, because like the past couple films we've done are just so slow.
Yeah.
So let us know on Twitter if there's anything energetic you could recommend for us that we can do. I'll look up some anniversaries as well, because like obviously the 30th anniversary. We've got any anniversaries next week?
Cool. Sounds good.
Sounds good. Yeah, good plan. I'll see you next week.
Oh, good work, Nick.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, everyone. See you next week. Brenton.
I hope the one podcast you listen to, child, will do you well. And remember, child, always throw some classic movie banter.
Thank you, Father.
Out am I? Bye, everyone.